Hello and welcome to the first ever Parky's Pals, the official podcast of the Gary Parkinson Trust. I'm very delighted to be joined by Bernie Slaven and Gary Hamilton as we discuss the Middlesbrough days, and my dad's two of my best pals are with me. How are you going, guys?
Hi, Luke.
Very good, Luke. Very good.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invite.
Brilliant. Thanks for joining us from the States as well. Everything all right over there?
It's coming. That's all I'll say about that. It's coming again.
Exactly.
Tell me how many.
I think that's every.
I know Luke's asking the questions, but when you live in America, did you have a vote? Could you vote over there?
No, I've not become an American citizen yet. I just have a green card that lets me go back. Lets me go back. I don't know if I want to be an American citizen.
Just so interested, if you could have voted, who would you have voted for?
Oh, definitely not. I'll say it out loud. I can't stand Trump. I hate it.
I like Trumpy. I like Trumpy.
See, Bernie, you and I have always disagreed anyways.
I'd have voted Trumpy. Yeah.
God, I don't know why I liked you so much.
Sorry, Luke, we're just getting involved in the
right, yeah, well, you've tied me in there nicely from one big-heading Trump to another one in my dad with a large loaf, as I was known for that. Just to take us back to the start of the Boro days. Obviously, there was a lot going on at that time, team of 86, liquidation and all that, but what's your first memory of my dad? Obviously, he was a youth team player coming through at the time, and you two would have already been there. Hammy, I'll let you go first.
I maybe have seen him on me just like.
Well, I mean, at that time in '86, it was like an unprecedented time. Pardon the pun. They're talking about politics. There you go. And obviously we were desperate because people were kind of jumping ship, not left, right, and centre. We weren't left with that many players anyway. I think it was just as Bernie came, we started getting rid of the likes of like David Curry's and Gary Rowe's and all them, Gary McDonald's, and I think most of the guys went to Darlington, if I remember. And then so we were down to the bare bones. So I think when Bruce came in, he started looking at the youngsters, and I remember your dad coming in with the likes of Ripper and Coops and all that stuff. I think the Turnbull was with them as well, and I think it was just a glad addition for us. It was a happy addition because we were just like, we didn't care how old they were. We were just looking for some bodies to play. I mean, because I think at the end of the day, we weren't expecting to play anyway. I mean, I just honestly thought I was going to go back to Scotland and play in Scotland. So it was a welcome sight to see the young ones come in. I remember your dad being able to strike a great ball. I remember actually like watching him and going, oh wow, that kid can strike the ball. And then that's what your dad done very well throughout his career as well. So. But we'll talk about some later things and when I remember training and stuff like that. But yes, it was welcomed when the young ones all come through. And I think Bruce, in the manager that they had in Bruce, I think Bruce, if being a different person in a different time, they might have never got that chance. So I think just because of the whole situation of '86, it gave a lot of youngsters a chance to get into the Middlesbrough team. And then history served itself.
Yeah, when I first arrived from Glasgow, totally unknown. They didn't know me, any of the lads, I didn't know them. My first game was a reserve game. I always remember jumping in the bus going to Grimsby. Parky, your dad, was on the bus, of course. He was a young lad. Colin Cooper, the lad called Strong. Yeah, Strongy.
Andy Strong.
Pixie, the Pixie blonde lad. There was a host of young kids. And I'm not just saying it, but I was attracted to Parky. I liked him from the off. There were a couple of lads like Coops at the time. Obviously I got to know Coops better, but as young lad with Strongy, they were sort of cliquish. They weren't my cup of tea. I'm from Glasgow. They were way ahead of me, as in how they thought, how they talked. They were super confident, less arrogance, and I thought, fucking hell, they're only young boys these, and they're away talking as if they're 35. So, but Parky always sort of took to. He would say enough, wouldn't overdo it, didn't come across as arrogant or really confident. And I sort of took to him, and obviously Bruce coming in, I'll be honest, Hammy says that he thought he would be returned to Glasgow. I knew of Bruce Rake, I didn't know him, but I knew of him. I knew he was a disciplinarian. I knew his background, he was called the assassin when he played. He would top everybody. And I thought, he won't like me. I like to think I could play a wee bit. I was a footballer, not a tackler. Hammy was a tackler. But I thought, well, if Hammy thought he was off, I definitely thought I was going to be off. Because I couldn't tackle a dinner. So, but I was really, I don't know what the noise is. I was really, I was delighted that he kept, as Hammy says, he got rid of Gary Rowe, Don O'Riordan, Pat Heard. There was a host of players to get rid of, the old guard, if you like. and he kept a nucleus of young lads like Parky, Colin Cooper. Obviously, Hammy was in between myself and the younger lads, and it was like there was a great bond. And I mean, the bond was unique. It'll never happen again in the history of Middlesbrough Football Club. It was just a unique period. No money, local lads, wore the shirt with pride. Genuinely loved the club, and I keep saying it when I do talks and that. You see these players kissing the badge. I never seen Hamilton, Mowbray, Ripley. I never seen any of them kissing the badge. And you know what? They loved the club. The ones that kissed the badge, Cadology, 2 years
We didn't
ago.
have any money. We didn't have a badge, did we?
Probably never, Hammy. You're right. We didn't have a sponsor.
Yeah, we didn't have a sponsor.
I came in at Cameron's, and then it was Cameron's Ales, and then it was blank. That was life back then.
Yeah. Just
We've got a few in the loft. I think you're right. There was. It just says MFC. I think the badge. That's about it.
Yeah.
So just going on to Bruce Rioch, obviously he's sort of idolised by my dad. He's someone as when I've grown up, he's always told me about and having a clean shaven and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're on time and all that kind of thing. What was it like the first time that he come in? Obviously, you're in the club's in a bit of a mess, and we go on about managers coming in nowadays, having a team meeting, addressing all the players. Was that kind of thing going on then? Did he come in and have a message from the start that this is what I want you guys to achieve?
Well, he was already there. He was already there because I think Willie brought him in, right, Bernie?
Yeah, that's right.
Willie brought him in and he was the assistant. And I think, funny enough, I think he came from Seattle. I think he came from over here and he came straight back to like Middlesbrough. There's a difference in worlds. And I liked him because, like Bernie says, both of us being Scottish and stuff like that, we kind of knew of Bruce. I mean, captain of Scotland, captain in the World Cup in Mexico in '78 and all that kind of stuff. I don't think he actually was... He didn't start off like a madman. I mean, he really didn't. And I don't think he was ever a madman either, because I was fortunate enough to actually stayed with him. I mean, we lived in Diggs for about 18 months together.
I heard you shared the bed with him.
Yeah,
that's the one. I don't know.
That's the only reason my name is first on the team sheet, son.
Exactly.
You think I was playing because I was good? No. But I think it's when he took over as the manager, that's when he set his tone and his standards and all that kind of stuff. And I think at the time when you look back, because we're all a lot older now and stuff. And by the way, happy 60th birthday, old man.
It's okay. You were a day late. It's okay. You were a day late. It's okay.
And by the way, honestly, Benny, I'm never late for anything normally. It must just be you.
Me and Luke, yeah, all right.
Yeah, I can't blame Luke. No, so I think he stalled out gradually, if I'm right, Benny. I can't really remember, to be honest. I don't think he came in like hammer and tall and stuff like that. I mean, it was a gradual thing. And the more success we seem to have, the higher the standards became. That's how I remember it. But at the end of the day, the guy knew stuff. I mean, and then he was lucky in a way that he had taken over a bunch of young guys, because he wouldn't have got away with it with older pros. There was just no way. That old guard that Bernie just mentioned, they'd have never stood for what Bruce was about. They just wouldn't have played for him, I don't think. But I think at that time in '86, I think the stars were aligning or something, because something just happened that was kind of magical. Bernie says that I don't think as well. I know I've done some talks, and I don't think any club will ever see that again. I think Middlesbrough in itself is pretty unique to have that bond, and it's really amazing that we're all still kind of pals today. I mean, I don't see that anywhere. I mean, I know any of us would call anybody, and if we could, we would be there for each other. And I think Bruce unknowingly instilled that in us all. Funny enough, forget about the football and stuff like that. The guy had something about him that we wanted to play for him, but overall, I think we wanted to play for Middlesbrough. So I think it was a great time. It was a great time to be involved in the club. It was a great time to play for the club, and it was a great time to try and kiss the badge if we had one, but we didn't have one. So it was good. It was a good. It really was, and I think the club have done a half decent job in kind of recognising the players at that time. They have. I know when I go home, Bernie and Pally get annoyed at me because I get 2 seats in the director's box. I don't know why. Maybe that was that's because I was sleeping with Steve as well.
No, I think looking at Bruce, I think it was the right place at the right time for Bruce and for the players, and it was just a marriage made in heaven. You know, I know that's a cliche, but it was. I mean, Bruce came in. Some of the young lads were very talented. They were all committed. The majority, Redcar, Thornaby, Middlesbrough, Norton, Durham, You know, they were all fairly local, and they wanted to play for the club. So Bruce was very fortunate. These guys wanted to play for the club first and foremost. The money was a secondary. You know, we went on a lot of money at that time. But Bruce's what he had was a great motivator. Bruce was a great motivator. Knew how to stroke egos. Knew how to boot people up the arse. Some of the lads were intimidated. You talk about Parky, like Lee Turnbull. Some of the younger lads, they were intimidated by him. I don't think he meant to overdo it, but at times probably he did. That was his adrenaline. That was part of his gig, and he got the best out of players. I mean, he says Tony Mowbray would take him to the moon. I don't know what he meant by that. Sometimes I wish two of them would have went to the moon. But, you know, he was a great motivator, great man manager. And without Bruce being employed at that time, I think Middlesbrough could have quite easily went out of business. He was the right man at the right time. He had the strength, every way he had the strength. And he knew how to manage the players, the group of players he had. A lesser manager, a weaker manager.
Yeah, I think Bruce himself as a manager and an individual grew himself as well. The more success we had, he kind of grew with it. And I think that's why that timing and that success and that era is like so special. So, because when he speaks, I mean, he's ultimately so proud of everybody. I mean, if you look at the whole squad, the massive squad of what was it, 15 people? Yeah. And if you look at the guys that are in that picture, I mean, it's really kind of interesting, you know, that nobody really getting any serious trouble. Everybody's still relatively successful in some kind of a way. And that comes from that. I mean, it really does. I mean, I'm not just saying Bruce did all that himself, but it definitely helped. He instilled certain things in us that I don't think at that time other people could do. So, I mean, I know I'm a
motivator. He knew how to motivate people. People, it was maybe there was average players. Some of us was average. He made us feel 10 foot tall. No matter who you were playing against, you went out there and believed you were the best because he made you believe that. You know, I always tell a story. I remember he put me in. It was about Christmas time. Don't know what year it was. Scored the right few goals. I was happy. I get a phone call off the secretary of the club. She's still there. Girl called Karen Nelson. And she says, "Oh, Bernie, Bruce would like to see you." And I said, "See me?" And this was Christmas. I'd scored about 19 goals. I was flying. I went, "What's it about?" She says, "I don't know." So in my mind, I'm going, new contract, more money. Brilliant. Get in there. Gets in, walks the car with a swagger, drives to Ayerson Park. Is he there? Oh, he's up the stairs, he's waiting on you. Goes up, knocks on the door, come in, opens the door. Bruce is sitting there in his big leather chair, sit down, and he had a paper in front of him, and I'm thinking to myself, contract. I swear to God, it's in this new book. He turned this bit of paper around. It wasn't a contract, by the way. He says, when you can do these things, you'll be a good player. I can't head, pass when it's on, know when you feel like it, be braver. 20 things that I couldn't do. I come out depressed. No, I want to know what Steve McClaren gave Michael Ricketts when he went into his office. Probably give him a menu.
It was an encyclopedia.
That was motivational skill, because I came out, I was fuming. But I still played for him and I still scored goals for him. So.
It was strange. Some of the methods he actually used, though. It was strange.
Yeah. You could park the car. We used to park underneath the stand. So I eventually got a car. All the younger lads had a car. I eventually got one. Drove the car in this day. Comes out. Bruce is parked just by chance. Same time. How are you today? And he used to say, "Hammy, how are you today?" And slap me in the back. And if you went, "Okay, give you a clip." No, you feel great today. Is that right, Hammy?
How you today?
Okay. No. You feel great, and he gave you a slap. Then the next day, or a couple of days later, he'd jump out the car at the same time again, and he wouldn't look at you. He would walk past you, as if you were a stranger. I found
try living with a guy. I had to wake up.
Hey, I don't want to know your business living with Bruce.
I had to wake up next to him as well sometimes.
So there's a story that I've heard you tell before, Bernie, about a game with Bruce. I think it was against Luton, where something had gone on in the game, and he had my dad up against the wall apparently afterwards.
Were you playing that game, Hammy?
Mick Harford. I'll never forget it. Parky didn't tackle Mick Harford.
Well, my memories of that game, Hammy will give his. My thoughts of that game was, I think it ended 1-1. We were winning. Parky's right back near the dugouts where Bruce is. Bruce is shouting, "Get it in the corners, push out, kill the game." Parky, because he had a bit of skill, despite being a fullback, tried to take on the winger. Winger goes up the field, crosses it, bang. Might have been half a stroke. One each. He's in the dressing room. Bruce, when he was getting angry, he used to twitch his neck. Well, he just went for Parky. He's pinned him up against the wall. Parky's head's like a plum. We're all diving in. And then it all calmed down. But in those days, a lot of managers done that. That's, if you done it now, you'd be sacked. But as you say, your dad still likes him. I love him. Hammy loves him. That was a done thing then. I don't know if he'd have went to Phil Wayne, became the Boston Strangler and really done him in, but he had a good old go at it, but we all dived in. But
I agree.
He never tried to get on winger again, put it that way.
I agree with Bruce. I says, go on, Bruce, strangle him. He should have never tried to take the winger on. Because I was like, Parky, there goes my wind bonus, you little shit.
Yeah, back then we had to rely on the wind bonus. It's probably about 50 quid back then. These days, they're 40, 50 grand. They don't 81.
And the starting 11 place, right?
Yes.
Getting in the starting 11.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, my dad always goes on about, I think it was when you got promoted and Bruce got you to back yourselves as well and then come on the coach with a big suitcase full of cash.
Yeah, that was, we were, so it's the last game of the season. We played Leicester City at Earson Park. There's a carnival atmosphere. Everybody just think we just need to turn up and the other result will go away and we get promoted. The week before we beat Barnsley 3-1. So the last game's against Leicester, who have nothing to play for. We just have to win. Hopefully a result goes away, get promoted to the top flight. So we plays the game. Lo and behold, Peter Weir and Gary McAllister, the lad that went on to Liverpool fame, those two scored the goals that day. We beat 2-1. I scored the other one. Hammy played to me, I scored. Anyway, you beat 2-1. So after the game, we're all distraught. The news is filtered through. The other teams won. We've get beat. We need to go via the playoffs now. And I always remember sitting there. We're all gutted. Nobody's talking. And Bruce went, right, get your heads right. Get yourself home. Get in here Monday morning. I want 100 quid off each and every one of yous. Well, back then, some of the lads were on 250 quid, 300 quid. Some of the lads were married. Probably Parky was married at that time. What, they're going to go home and tell the missus? I'm 100 quid short this week. Bruce demands it. But nobody argued.
Asking that same question now.
So remember, we gave them £100, and then we get into the playoffs, and then obviously we can talk about that down the line. We beat Bradford, then we beat Chelsea. And I always remember us going to America, Hammy. Yeah, we go to America. Yeah. None of us really wanted. Well, I didn't want to go. I wanted to enjoy it here because everybody knows you here. But a few days later, civic reception in Middlesbrough Town Hall, and then we're driving down on the coach down to London to get a flight to America. But as we leave Earson Park, I always remember Bruce, his darker suit and tie on, the briefcase. To be honest, I forgot about the bet because you're so.
I think we all did.
Yeah, we all probably did. So we weren't money oriented at that time. And they just come up there like that. Well done, £1,000, £1,000. £1,000 was a lot of money. So we're all buzzing, you know what I mean? Yeah. But again, today's society, today's game, you wouldn't be able to gamble and bet. You'd be done. You'd be thrown at your job. But back then, it was a motivational tool that Bruce used and it worked. So, yeah.
Obviously, in that time to go all the way through the divisions and promotions galore, and the one thing that always stands out is that the Battle of the Bridge. Now, I know that the game was sort of marred at the end by people coming on the pitch, and I know my dad was always the first one off in that situation, but how did you two feel? There's a few times when there was sort of pitch invasions over the years at that point.
I mean, if you remember the time, I think in the playoffs when we beat Bradford, I think Chelsea, didn't they play Blackburn and like they hammered them like 6-0 or something like that? I mean, they were like really, they were the big favourites to beat us. Yeah. But when we went to Stamford Bridge, again, what Bernie said about Bruce, it wasn't an arrogance, it was just a belief. And I mean, we went to Stamford Bridge with, well, I don't know, about 40,000 mad cockneys trying to strangle us. I mean, I think in the bus, Bernie went, they rocking the bus when we were driving in and stuff. Actually in Glasgow. I mean, that's what I thought it was. But Bruce just had that calming kind of sense to, I mean, we went out and we had a system. I remember that day Bernie didn't like the system because he had to play left midfield or something like that.
Always I heard, I'm telling the story, but always I heard throughout that game is, get back you lazy Scottish bastard. And he was Scottish. Anyway, going on.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the last person you'd have put Bernie on was Pat Nevin. I mean, I just don't think you would want to do that.
Nevin, yeah.
But no, I think the thing that stands out for me most of the Stamford Bridge game was actually, I think every single player in the Middlesbrough team played their role, but Gary Pallister was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he was colossal that day. I actually seen somebody post something the other day about that game. And I remember Chelsea just kept pumping the ball into the box, and Pally, I think, won every single ball.
Just a quick story in that, Hammy. Well, after that game, and every game, we used to go into get fish and chips in the town centre, and then Pally would go into whatever the shop, look at the magazines like Match and Shoot, and look to see what he got. You know, your rating.
Right, 8 and 9 out of 10.
I think I got more in him. I got more in that game. He was going, man. I had a nightmare. He was good. I agree with you. He was great. But he get less than he's got it. Now I'm saying, shut up. It's only one man's opinion. Don't be so daft.
Yeah, but I mean, Bruce, I think Bruce expected us to get the result. And obviously, I mean, history, again, just served itself the result. Because Chelsea were a good team. But by that time, we were kind of really a good unit. I know we didn't want to go through the Leicester thing again because, like Bernie said, that was a joke. I mean, I think that was one of our biggest downfalls in that whole Bruce's era. I'm surprised Bruce didn't deal with the Leicester City Carnival thing before the game because that was a joke. But hey, it worked out in the end, and everybody held their nerves because it was a nerve-wracking game down at Chelsea. If you look at the video, and we're running off the field, if you look at the video again, I jump in Colin Cooper's back, which I'm surprised Coops could hold me up, but there you go. And as I run down the tunnel, somebody threw a bottle at me. It smashes right at my feet, and you see me jump because of stuff like that. So, I mean, it was a scary factor. I mean, it really was. But, hey, it was a great result. It was a great day as well.
Yeah, I remember that day, obviously, go to Stamford Bridge, despite beating them. Was it 2-0 at our place? 2-0 at our place. We were still under the cautious Hammy says they beat Blackburn 6 before they met us. They're 2-0 down, they're home. They've got guys like Kerry Dixon, England international, Pat Nevin, Scottish international, Gordon Jury, Scotland international. Yeah. They were littered with international stars and they still fancied it big time. And then Jury scored after about 17 minutes, drilled one by Percy. And that was us backs against the wall for the remainder of the game. But my abiding memory of that game was Hammy forever shouting, "Get back, you Scottish bastard." That just rang in my ears for 90 minutes. Not getting a kick. I missed a chance first half and come off the bar. The keeper's lying and I've headed it. That was when it was 0-0. I thank God it never went in because I think they'd have been on the park earlier, the fans. They'd have rioted. But,
is that why you missed it? All right.
Of course it was. Well, of course, Hammy. So at the end of the game, the whistles went. I'm nearest to 10,000 travelling Boro fans. And I didn't shake any Chelsea player's hand that day. I don't like blue and I don't like Chelsea as a rule. So I've turned away. I'm going towards the Boro fans, thinking all the players are behind me. As I'm getting closer, I'm applauding them. Then they start looking animated. And I look behind me, expecting to see the lads. And the fans are running in my direction. All of them are running off. And if you look at that video you're talking about, I'm last off the pitch. Number 7, last down the tunnel. I wasn't quick, but I would have beat Limper Christie that day. I was up the road running. And
that's the fastest you moved. That was the fastest.
Oh, without a doubt, honey. Without a doubt. I wasn't quick, but I was quick that day. And I remember getting locked in the dressing room for about 45 minutes. And then he says, "Right, lads, out you go." And we went out and we celebrated the fans. The Boro fans had remained. All the riffraff, the scum had been cleared off the pitch. And my abiding memory of those lads, our group of 86 or whatever, I remember Colin Henderson saying something like, you know, "It's a great feat we've achieved. Do you want to get into London? Do you want to go to the Hilton, this or that?" And the lads went, no, let's go for fish and chips on the way out and we'll go to the Mall. And that's what happened. Do you remember that, Hammy?
Yeah. No, because I wouldn't have gone to the Mall.
You'd have been straight up with the pole dancers knowing you. I was a sensible lad. I headed back to Teesside, stopped for fish and chips, and that's a great memory, you know. And that summed the lads up. They went big time. Yeah, they could have went to whatever, the Hilton, Champagne. They didn't want that razzmatazz. They did the business, get back to Teesside and celebrate. So, sums up the lads.
And what was it like playing with some of them? Obviously, like you've mentioned, Pally and stuff went on to play for Man United in England and stuff. But what was it like playing alongside my dad? What did you expect from him on a Saturday?
Not much, Bernie. Right? Parky was actually very quiet and unassuming. It's actually strange to actually talk about your dad in a way of how he played, because he was unbelievably consistent. I mean, he was just a good player that was consistently good every time. You know what I mean? And Bruce, I think, gave the fullbacks, because if you look at Coops and your dad, that was the new start of the era of the fullbacks joining in and attacking and stuff. And your dad loved that, because he wasn't the best defender in the world, let's be honest. You know what I mean? So he just went the other way. You know what I mean? Screw that defending, I'll just go the other way and attack. And it was a good philosophy for your dad, and it worked. And I mean, he took a lot of pride in it. I always found your dad, like, before games, he always looked like a nervous person. I mean, he always looked a bit nervous. I think that was just an age thing. And then, because we had some, like, assholes in the dressing room. I mean, we did. And I think me being probably one of them, and stuff like that. Just not overconfident, but I mean, we not going out our way to petrify people, but I think they were so eager and keen to always impress Bruce, like everybody probably was. It was just one of them feelings that he always looked a wee bit nervous. But hey, once he got out in the field, I thought he always played very well.
Yeah, I looked at Parky. Parky, he wasn't an over-the-top man, wanting to kill everybody, and, you know, Hammy would run through a wall. I'm talking about proper brick wall. Hammy would run through it. Your dad wasn't one of them. He could tackle. He could read the game. And as he says, he would get forward. He had good engines, box to box. He was up and down there. He was fit. He was eager. And
he was always worried about his weight, though.
Oh yeah, you'd always wear a plastic bag and go in the sauna for 2 days.
Yeah.
Off those £3.
I remember him sat one day at Maiden Castle, and I was coming off the pitch, and I think it's because you had all done your training session, and I was doing my normal walk around Maiden Castle before the game because I didn't train. And your dad was sat on the steps. Remember, Benny, to go into the dressing rooms? And as he sat down on the step, remember he had them big kanga knickers. Big man kanga knickers. And as he sat, all his water just like scooshed everywhere. And I was like, I thought he pissed himself. And I went, Parky, what are you doing? He went, I've got them undies on that. I'll just lose a couple of pounds a day. And I was like, oh, maybe I should get a pair of them today, actually.
I thought you handed them to Parky at the time, no? But obviously, Parky was renowned for his terrific strikes, you know.
Strikes, yeah.
Always thought about beating Neville Southall. He was arguably one of the best keepers at that time. I think he beat him on a couple of occasions, 25, 30 yards, and that was no mean feat, you know. So, very good at going forward.
I remember he took a penalty kick once and they hit the net at Ayerson Park that hard. I think it went back to the halfway line.
Oh, do you remember the time the penalty kick with me? No, would you have gone with then, Hammy?
Yeah, I've heard this, yeah.
So, we're playing in the Premier, I'm sure it was the Premier League. We're playing Ipswich Town at Ayerson Park. It's a night game, Wednesday night game. It's the last minute of the game. There's a penalty being awarded. Lav no scored for 2-3 games. Parky's just back in the team after injury. So the two are going for the ball. So I'm saying it. He's saying, I'm the Parky. See your dad saying, I'm the penalty taker. And I'm saying, but I'm the goal scorer. We're having this to and fro. So I've won the argument, like most Scottish guys for Glasgow do. I've won the argument. I put it down. Front of the hall gate, packed. Last minute of the game, 2-2. This is for 3-2. I've run up inside my left foot. It flew right into the fucking hall gate and yeah, Scottish, whatever. Whistle went. I always remember going in the dressing room now. They were all up, sort of having a go at me, and I said to Parky, I fucking told you should have took it. I didn't apologise to Parky many years later. I came to see him and I said, Parky, I really apologise. You should have took it. I apologise. And anyway, yeah.
I'm not surprised you blamed him, though.
Oh, I did blame him. But I knew in my head I was always bluffing. You know what I mean, Amy? I'm not that daft. Yeah. So.
Probably not long after that, then, that he ended up leaving and coming to Bolton, obviously, where I was brought up and born and stuff, and followed Bruce that way. What was it like when Bruce left? And I think it was Lenny Lawrence that came in. I know he wasn't liked as much.
We're not talking about that twat, are we? Lenny Lawrence, you're joking, aren't you?
I loved the guy. I thought he was magic.
You would.
I was actually going to sign for him in, like, I think it was 86. I went down to talk to him and stuff like that. And like Bernie, I don't know what it is about Glaswegians, but I don't like people from London at all. I mean, I don't like any teams from London, and I don't like Londoners or Cockneys. So when I was down there talking to Lenny, I was like, no, I mean, it was an interesting deal. It was a lot better deal than I had at Middlesbrough, that's for sure. And no, just something brought me back. But no, Lenny was all right. I think it was a massive change with Bruce and Lenny. They were just two completely different managers, and I actually didn't play under Lenny at all, other than my 14 minutes of my testimonial game, which I don't think I let that up. So I can't really speak much about, because I was never really in any team meetings and all that stuff because I was injured.
My memory of Lenny Lawrence, Lenny came in. He came in. He sat his. There's a picture appears in the Gazette time to time, and he sat all the players down, including the younger lads, all the first teamers, Mugger and Ripper and Parky, myself, and guys who did it in the past. And I always remember him standing there, and I was looking like everybody else. And if you ever see the picture, I'm the only one that doesn't look at him, because I can't hide my feelings. So everybody's like this on, oh yeah, and he's talking about the game, and then he goes, I'm looking for new heroes and idols. And as soon as he said that, I looked at the ground. I'm not saying I was a hero or idol, but Ripley, Mowbray, Parky, all these guys were. And I looked at the ground and I thought, he's going to get rid of a few years. And my thoughts were right. He got rid of Mugger, went to Celtic. Ripper went to Blackburn. Parky, Prop, and myself, who were big pals, had been for many years. Somebody, I don't know if it was even Steve Gibbs, it might have been Gibbo at the time, that there was rumours that we were classed as a Middlesbrough mafia. Mafia? Parky! Parky's the nicest guy in the world. Prop's a priest. I might be a bit of whatever, but to call us a Middlesbrough mafia. And anyway, needless to say, Prop, I think, went to Tranmere, Parky went to Bolton, and I went to Port Vale. So we all get shipped out. So his introduction, I thought, was a poor introduction for a new manager. What he said didn't think with me. And yeah, I never seen that guy. Lenny, the people said, you and Lenny didn't get on. Yeah, it was a clash of personalities. He never had any.
That's not a clash.
That means all get managerial and skills, and he get rid of me. And I'm not dwelling on my own career, but when we were in the Premier League, I went on to do radio after that for many years. But if I was on the radio at that time, so Middlesbrough's in the Premier League, I've still been the top scorer to get them in the Premier League, despite Walter playing double the games, because I used to be on the bench regular. We get into the Premier League, and after a month or two, we have a fallout. He makes me train with my book boys, and then eventually says, I need to get rid of you. So he lets me go in the Premier League. We've got Wilco, Paul Wilkinson, who's a good striker, good lad, and got a few goals. Only recognised striker. They brought John Henry, who's my pal, winger, very good winger, moved him up the middle, and he got a few goals as well. They had no backup. Now, if I was on the radio, I'd have been saying, what's Middlesbrough doing? One recognised striker, a winger playing up front with Wilkinson, no support, nobody else. And inevitably, they came down that season. I'm not saying they'd have stayed up, but surely you must have more than one striker in a Premier League team, Hammy. You know what I mean? It was bonkers. Yeah. It was bad management, and the guys at the top were sanctioning it, so they deserved all they got that year.
And did you ever end up playing against each other again then once you'd all moved on or not? I know my dad came back with Burnley to Ayresome Park. I don't know if you played against each other.
He's lucky I wasn't playing, because I'd have kicked them.
Did I ever play against Parky? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
I don't think I did. I think Bolton were a different division for Port Vale, weren't they?
Yeah.
I remember going to interview your dad when he was at Bolton. Was it Bolton? Who was Davy Moyes? No, Preston. Preston.
Yeah.
I remember going to interview Parky for Boro TV at Preston. Davy Moyes was the manager.
Yeah.
I remember going there.
I think we had him up against the wall as well at some point.
Moyes is a good lad as well. He's got a good speed as well.
Yeah,
he's really well known.
He came to Middlesbrough. Was that before you?
No, it'd have been before me, Hammy. I played against him. Right. He played for Shrewsbury.
He came on loan. I remember I gave him a lift back to Glasgow once. So I did. He came down on loan from Celtic.
Never knew that.
Yeah, there you go. See, yeah, full of interesting facts.
Something every day.
And then obviously later on, Masters football is one that I remember coming to watch you as a kid. Hammy, I don't know whether you played in that or whether you're in the States by then. The Masters football at Newcastle Arena and MEN Arena and stuff like that. Bernie, I know you played a few times in that.
I had a proper job by then. Look, yeah.
Yeah. I was still kidding myself when I was a footballer. No, I loved the five-a-sides. It used to be on the Sky, and obviously your dad played, I played, Prop would play, and we won a few of them. We'd play like against Newcastle. They had guys like Peter Beardsley and company, some big names. Newcastle players, Sunderland, and I loved it. It was very good, very competitive. And then it started to wean when they started bringing like Dean Windass, and Windass, I know Windass is a smashing lad, great player, but Windass was like just retired, and he's coming in playing against guys at 44 and all that. So then it was all out of sync, They did it the same strength, you know, and then it disappeared. But yeah, with some good times in the Masters.
Yeah, my dad was the first player to be sin binned in the Masters. I remember that.
Oh, was he? I didn't remember that.
Did they allow handbags or something?
I can't remember what it was. Some referee he didn't like. I can't remember who the referees were, but I think he'd done something.
He must have hit something with his handbag.
Yeah, I don't know what he'd done. So obviously you two have been brilliant parts of the fundraising as well for my dad since he's been ill and stuff. Can you remember sort of where you were when you heard the news that he'd not been so well?
Well, I was here. I was in America, and I can't remember. That might have even been Bernie that told me. Oh no, it was the news. I seen it on the news, and I mean, you wouldn't wish what your dad's got on like anybody in life. You really wouldn't. But for your dad, who, I mean, how it was brought on or how it happened. I mean, he's always been a working class man. I think he was doing just too much at Blackpool as well. As that's what I heard. I mean, he had all this pressure on him. I think he was even taking the kids home and washing them and shit like that, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really sad. And I mean, for it to happen to one of the genuinely nice men in the planet is the saddest thing ever, because he's a young man that's never gone out of his way to talk bad about anybody, do anything to harm anybody. He's just always been a genuinely nice man. So I feel like even today, it's so sad to be around your dad, and it just makes you realise in life how lucky we kind of all are. And I mean, I just wish he could one day hopefully just snap out of it, and I pray for him all the time. But yeah, and you guys, like your mum, I tell you, I say this to everybody, and I've told your mum to your face actually. I mean, if anybody's giving out medals like the Queen's giving medals out, she should pass one to your mum. Your mum deserves an MBE or an OBE because she has been an absolute superstar, like you have, Luke, as well, and your sisters. Yeah, it's put you in a bad position, but you guys have been a tremendous rock for your dad, and don't think he doesn't know that, because I know he does. And what the good thing about your dad is, in his situation, he still hasn't lost the sense of humour that he has. Because I know the first time I went to see him, he was in the home in Bolton or something, and I went to see him, and your mum told me, just be you, because I don't really get nervous, I don't panic about many things, but I was shitting myself that day to go see your dad, because this big hard man supposedly was like, I turned into like Jello really, because I mean, you just don't know what to say or do. Oh, yeah. And I went in there, and your mum told me to be my own person, and I'm telling you, just to see him laugh and still have his humour during what he had, the disastrous illness, it was pleasing to the eye. He's made me realise a few things in life, that you can't be short, and you've just got to get on with things and appreciate everything you've got.
Yeah, I've always believed there's no justice in the world. I think what happened to Parky, I think, confirms that. No justice. There's murderers, rapists, whatever in the world getting away with murder. They don't have any problems. You got a guy like Parky. I've always said, when I describe Parky, I always say, out of all the lads that was in that dressing room, in the squad, if I had a daughter, I would want her to marry Parky. I wouldn't want her to marry Hammy, me, whatever. Parky would be the one.
I'm glad you added you in there.
If I had a daughter, I'd want her to marry a guy like Parky.
That's actually a good way of putting it, yeah.
Nice guy. And is it like Hammy? I'm religious. I say my prayers. I continue to pray for Parky. You just never know in this world. They could turn around. You don't know. So, and anytime I've came to visit Parky, and I've did that over the years, I always find him still warm, he laughs uncontrollably, which the first time he did that, I was thinking, dear me, what's happening here? But that was fine. And it's great that he's still got that. I know he still likes a bet in the GGs. That's great. I know he did a bit of scouting under Tony Mowbray. Fantastic. You know, people forever say to me, have you seen Parky? Well, I've seen him for maybe a year. Well, the last time was the night we had at the Beechwood and Easterside. It was nearly a year ago. He says, look, but hopefully when this pandemic's over, we can come down and see him again when everything's okay. But I would just say, Parky, keep fighting, keep believing, keep your faith. You never know, it can turn around. And yeah, he's still as smart as ever. He looks great. His hair, his teeth, his skin, he looks great. Yeah. So
when Parky snaps out, he's going to be the best looking. Is his dad 50 yet?
Well, he says he is. He said he's still 49, I think. But
I think he looks like 21.
Yeah. So that's special.
So he does.
Yeah. He's getting the same Botox as Warnock.
Yeah.
Tell him that.
Yeah. I'm even getting free haircuts now because my sister started doing hairdressing, so you don't even have to pay for them anymore.
Ah, brilliant. Yeah, he's always got the best gear on as well. Every time I look at his feet, he's always got the best trainees on, Hammy. I'm getting hold of my trainees, you know what I mean?
I'm telling you.
I'm getting through my kind for 1980 and he's got the top ones on.
That's what I said to him, because his trainers don't hit the floor now. I'll start buying him off him when he's finished. As good as new. Anyway, we've had some good nights as well, like you said there. The Tall Trees one as well, Bernie, you organised that, and Hammy, you come across it. I remember that being probably unbelievable, really, right at the very start. I was still only a teenager, I think, at that time. So to have all that support, and you guys really were then only people I'd heard about, not really seen or met that much. So to have all you there and see you all in the same place, Bruce as well, was incredible. What do you remember about that night other than it just being unbelievable?
I think Bernie done an unbelievable job in just getting everybody back together again, because prior to that, I mean, we really hadn't seen much of each other over the years, and so that was the number one good thing that Bernie did. It was amazing, and I think that just goes to show you the love everybody had for your dad, and then plus it goes to show everybody outside that the love that everybody had for each other as well. And I think if any of us had been in any similar situations, I think everybody would show their support. It was a fantastic night, and I mean, it was incredible. I've been to a lot of functions in my life, and that was tremendous. Other than, didn't somebody nick some stuff we were going to auction?
Oh, we talk about that in a minute. Yeah. Look, you know, I phoned the lads, but the lads are all accommodating. When I got in touch with the lads at that time, I don't expect any of them to say they won't be there. Even Hammy's in America. I know Hammy's mentality. I know he's going to be there. Every one of them turned up for the Tall Trees one, and I didn't have any doubt. They all loved your dad. They loved that stage in their careers, and every one of them just was saying, for Parky, yeah, we'll be there. Parky's he's the guy that gets them there. And then obviously the organisation comes through my Mrs. Claire. She deals with that side, but getting the lads is the easy part. Obviously doing the other things, but we raised a lot of money. Then we have another one for Parky. 500 people turn up. You know, when I was arranged at the Beechwood and Easterside, people were saying, Beechwood and Easterside, rough as down there, you don't make any money there. We made a right few quid for your dad.
25,000, I think.
Got in the droves, the players turned up again, the manager turned up, and it was a great night. That was actually as good as the Tall Trees for me, although it was half the crowd. The atmosphere was like the Holgate end. You know, we introduced one at a time, Hammy. And it was
a proper punters, wasn't it? It was a proper fans. I used to drink in there.
Oh, did you, right?
Well, I used to drink in a few places in Middlesbrough, so there you go. But yes, that was a great night. There's been some great nights, there has.
The lads will always be accommodating for your dad or anybody, because that's what type of lads they are. You know, and the great thing that I always find is, as Hammy says, the Tall Trees one, I hadn't spoke to a lot of the lads for many years. We all become one, we all meet up. Not met each other for maybe 20 odd years. And it's as if you're talking to them yesterday.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That's the beauty of that team. Yeah. I cannot see the present players now, 20 years' time, they won't even know each other. Some of them will forget their names. We'll never forget each other because we went through a lot of that time. And there's just a special bond.
Why do you think there is that special bond, just from being so close?
Because of what we went through: relegation, liquidation, training in local parks, getting chased with dogs, not having cars, not having money, not having the luxuries, having mortgages, staying in digs like Hammy. I'd move into my first house, could hardly afford the mortgage. It was only 250 quid. You know, there was a bit of hardship there. And then third, second, first, I always say that's as great an achievement as Mourinho won in whatever team, and Fergie won in the Premier League. That group of lads, local lads, no money, third, second, first consecutive seasons, that's an incredible achievement. Incredible achievement.
When you're saying chased by dogs, you're on about at Stewart's Park or in the Madison?
I was actually talking about Tall Trees.
Oh.
No, there was they did all go to the Madison. Just while the PR watching this would be cut off with me. It's a joke.
I auctioned for the telephone box that was in there.
You're off your head. I tell you what, you're going to get in that telephone box.
That is true.
So just update us then, obviously, what you're up to at the present day. Hammy, you're in America.
Yeah, I'm coaching. Something I thought I'd never do. But funny enough, I'm like, I think 18 months away from being here 30 years. I've now somebody pointed out the day that I was back home. And we coach like U19s and down. We have a big kind of little, it's called recreational soccer over here. We have a big base of that, and it's been great. I mean, a lot of people think I kind of got shafted a bit by my career and stuff like that, but I don't look at things like that. That's kind of negative and stuff like that. I wish I could have played a bit longer, but it wasn't meant to be. And I think coaching is where I'm meant to be. Now, I couldn't coach. A lot of people ask me why I don't coach adults. I just don't like them. I mean, I think I would kill like the players of today. I don't. I mean, I'm better with the youth, and at least the youth kind of seem to listen. But we do a really good job in what our goals are and our philosophy. We're in an area in South Texas, which Mexico is only like 9-10 miles away. So a lot of people say it's a bit of a poverty-stricken area, but it's really not. We do a good job in getting like kids to school and colleges and stuff like that, and even in the pros. So very happy where I'm at, and I'm actually really happy of what we've achieved within the club over the last nearly 30 years. So it's I've only ever had 2 jobs. Look, Middlesbrough and here, so pretty proud of that.
And I've never had a job.
You go back to Middlesbrough as academy coach or anything like that?
Well, I think I told Bernie about this. No, I mean, when Morgan was in charge and stuff, and I've always been a bit like Bernie as well. Maybe not as outspoken as Bernard, but I've been a bit. I mean, I'm not shy either. And I remember going to talk to Parnaby, the academy coach. Morgan told me to go down there and speak to him because he wanted to speak to me or something. And then at that time, I was looking at maybe coming back home. And I'll never forget what he was telling me all these directional things, and he was showing me a big map of the pathways of how we be a youth academy coach in back home in the UK. And I eventually said to him, "Can we not skip past all that?" I says, "Because I think I'm here in this map." And he actually turned around to me, Barnaby, and says, "Hammy, what do you actually really want?" And I actually just looked at the guy, and my assistant from here was with me, sat in that room. And my assistant always tells me the story. He says, as soon as he asked that question, I was going, "Please don't say it, please don't say it, please don't say it." And I went, "Oh, I want your job." And I said that right to Dave Barnaby's face. And he went, "Oh, okay." And by the time I went back to Morgan's office, Barnaby already called Morgan, and Morgan went, "What the hell did you say?" And I went, "I just told him the truth." I says, I said, "I don't want to coach I said, "I want to take over." And that was the end of that one. So there you go. And then plus when you look at them academy jobs, look, I mean, them guys work 500 days a year, and I mean, they're in at 6 in the morning and leave at 10 at night. I think that's what your dad was at times as well. Yeah. And the older we get, I work really, really hard, but I also, fortunately enough, I get decent time off in which I go home and spend in Scotland. So, no, I don't want to work year round. I really don't. So, but I'm happy where I'm at.
Brilliant. What about you, Bernie? I know you've got a book out at the minute as well with.
Yeah, I've got a book out. I've did books for 23 years. Not just.
You've done a book a year, haven't you?
23 years I've did books. Obviously with the legends, Mark McDonald, Mickey Horswell, Eric Gates, interviews, whatever. So I've did that for years. So I'll be doing that. I'll be in the Middlesbrough Centre if the pandemic lifts. If not, it's online. I do a wee bit of coaching in Stockton. Talking about coaching, I remember when I retired, I'd retired before Stephen Pears and Matt Proctor, 2 of my big mates. And I remember somebody at the club lowered down in the PR department says, "Look, why don't you put a reference in and write a few things about yourself? See, we'd like to go on the ladder as a youth coach," which I thought, yeah, I've just finished. Yeah, I'll do that. Never even got a reply. Never got a letter back saying this, that, nothing to acknowledge I put a letter in. 1 year later, Matt Proctor and Stephen Pears gets a job at the club. I thought, hello, surprise, surprise. I remember we go to Singapore, there was the chairman, all the lads, Prop was there, Pears was there, and I brings it up. I says, "Oh, what about how can you get the job? I retired a year earlier, I put in a letter, don't get anything back, and as soon as you retire, you get the job. Why is that?" I said, "I'll tell you why. Because you're nice guys. You ain't going to rock the boat. You're not going to be confrontational. The working place now wants, hey, Prop and Pearsy are great lads. Prop's the best guy I've ever met. But the working hierarchy want yes men. They don't want rebellious types, in your faces, confrontation. They don't want it. They want the easy life. If I was working for Gary Hamilton and Hammy's gave me a good wage and something's out of sight and I think, I don't agree with Hammy, I'm going to tell him. He may go, do you know what? Sack, see you later. That's okay. I can live with that. But there's too many in jobs in high places that are telling lies. They're not saying anything derogatory because they're getting the money. If I'm your true mate, I'm going to tell you, I don't agree with you. I think you're wrong doing that. If you want to sit me,
good. I'm not hiring you.
What?
Good. I'm not hiring you.
No, you're fired, mate. Yeah. So anyway, that and that's it with a host of lounges at the Riverside and Matchday. So
which by the way, I'm going to jump in here. Bernie's Lounges, because I've been to a lot of the lads' lounges. Bernie's Lounges, not because he's on the phone with us. Bernie's Lounges are the best lounges to go to because he gets with the right punters, he gets the real people. And you know what? Sadly, and he's so right in what he's saying. I think he's been banned from the club like what, 2 times, 3 times.
Yeah. I'm only giving an opinion. I don't get my way to be confrontational.
Let me finish. Don't ever change. Don't ever change because that's. I think it's very much appreciated by the public of Teesside. I really do.
Yeah, I've lost jobs because of my opinion, but that's okay. No worries, no job.
Yeah.
Come on. No
One man we must mention is obviously the late Ali Brownlee. You were brilliant on the radio and TV as well with him, Bernie. How much is he missed on Teesside?
Yeah, I mean, Ali, he was the most generous, most professional, biased human being I've ever met regarding Middlesbrough. He was brilliant at his job. The BBC can go for another 100 years. They will never get an Ali Brownlee. They've not got his charm or charisma or he had everything in abundance, Ali. I have to be honest, I mean, I did about years ago about Ali. When Ali went to BBC, we sort of separated. We weren't as close. I'd only spoken to Ali about twice in maybe 3-4 years. We didn't fall out. It was just sort of that's what happened. I don't know. The BBC, I've always said, I call the BBC the Boro Broadcasting Company. I'll stand by that. I know some of the lads that work there that I like, some that I don't like, but the BBC are the Boro Broadcasting Company. They're a different animal. And when Ali went there, sort of I don't know what happened. I used to go to the sauna with Ali. We used to phone each other, and then it just sort of came to a sudden standstill. But Ali was a big loss. He was the biggest PR man that Middlesbrough's never had. You know, if Middlesbrough, Ali could sell sand in the Sahara. You know, he was a top man. Don't forget, he got me involved in showing my bum that time in the Ben's window. Then he was nominating me to be the mayor of Middlesbrough. That started off as a joke and became serious. I was getting phone calls from Glasgow and Dublin, you've been the mayor, and I'm going, aye, Ali, I don't want to be the mayor. He dropped me in. And then at the last minute, he got me out of it. But no, Ali will be greatly missed, never be forgotten. He was loud, brash, funny, kind, charitable. He was just a great professional, very knowledgeable. And his commentating style was second to none. There was nobody better than Ali.
Yeah, he's. I wasn't around Ali, obviously, nowhere near as much as Bernie, but he is Mr. Middlesbrough. That is for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Just last one before I let you guys go. I've taken enough of your time. Just thoughts on Middlesbrough so far this season? A bit of a turnaround from last year, at least.
Ali?
Okay, well, it was nice talking to you.
Oh no. So he's watching American football. He ain't watching Middlesbrough these days.
No, it's actually funny. You know, I've not watched one single game. That's a lie. I've watched one. I watched the Champions League final, Bayern Munich. I cannot get into the games at all. So I've not watched a game at all without the fans. It's just not the same to me. My old man's the same in Glasgow, Bernie. He just don't watch it. He's obviously turned it around. Neil, and I think he was going to do that. Just it reminds me of an old version of maybe Bruce. I've not been around the guy, but that's how he seems to come across. I loved the first time he came in and the big forward, he just told him to stay at home. I'm telling you, that's what football players need. They are so spoiled. It's to the point of, I think my grandkids can behave better and they're 10 and 5. So they are, and than some professional football players today. So they needed something like that. I was impressed that they went and got Neil. Are we going to go up? I don't think, by looking at things, I don't think we're I don't think we'll score enough goals to go up. You know what I mean? It looks like he's done the right part in doing his defensive work and stuff like that, because we're not going to concede a lot of goals, but you've got to score goals. You've got to have a Bernie on your team that's going to guarantee you at least 20 goals a season to be even in the playoffs, I think. But who knows? I'm hoping, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah, Warnock's come in. Obviously, 30, 40 years in management. He's disciplined, he's organised. He knows how to stroke egos, how to book backsides, and he's done that for he come in. As Hammy says, right away, just said, so you don't want to play the remainder games because your contract's up, see you later, shot and see you later. He didn't mess about. That's how you do it. The difference we Warnock as opposed to Woody, who was a bit green, obviously a younger man. He was never the manager. Woodgate was the coach. Karanka was the coach. This guy, I believe, is the manager. Any decisions that Middlesbrough make, Warnock sanctions them. Woody and guys before him, they have no sanction. There's a difference. A coach coaches the teams and picks the team, but he doesn't necessarily bring the players in. And this is what the fans kind of get their head round. Warnock, for me, is the manager. He's in total control 100%. If anybody, whether it's a hierarchy, says, oh, we don't do this, I think Warnock can say, do you know what, see you later, I'm off. He doesn't need it. He's 72 years of age. But what he's did, he's got his playing a certain style. Hammy mentioned a striker. I believe at the start of the season, I thought Warnock's and he organised things. We'll finish about 10th. I've watched Boro's every game, 11 games in total. I honestly believe if we had a striker or two who could score goals regular, prolific, which are very hard to find without any money, and we've not got them on the books, I believe we could win it. You know, I'm not one for over-egging it. I would say if we're rubbish, we're rubbish. I honestly, my gut instinct, if we had a forward or two who could score goals regular, we would win it. Because you get your money on Hammy and Liz, you can take this. I don't think we'll get beat 8 games this season. I don't think we'll get beat 8 games. I think there'll be loads and loads of draws, wins here and there, but we ain't going to get beat a lot. Because the whole game, there's a similar style to Pulis and Karanka. And the only thing I would say about Warnock, I would like to ask him, can he enhance a forward-thinking player's mind? I don't think he can. Pulis never achieved it. Karanka never achieved it. We've had guys like Jordan Rhodes, Stuani, Negredo, Bamford. I never seen any of the managers enhancing them, making them better players. I mean, Bamford get 19 goals, but Bamford had natural ability. He'd have get more, but Karanka played him on the right wing for about 15 games. Stuani, he never played him up the middle. Jordan Rhodes, Karanka never even played. He cost 10 million quid. And then you've got Pulis comes in, just said, hopeless, couldn't hit my building, saying that I live in a bungalow. You know, you guys like that who just simply not good enough. Assombalonga, I've defended Assombalonga. The years he's been here, he's been the top scorer. I still think he'll be top scorer, but I don't think he gets enough. Doesn't he want it enough? Doesn't he look flustered when he misses a chance? I want to get a grip of him sometimes, strangle him and say, come on, waken up. He looks as if he's got this, oh, I've missed a chance, instead of getting annoyed.
I want to get a hold of him and just ask him for a sub, 35k a week. What
could you do with 35 grand a week? The one that's doing a great job, I would still question, it's easier to make a defensive unit than it is to make a football and attacking, go and score goals. We are number one, the best defensive record in the division, number one, least goals conceded, but we're third, fourth bottom of the league scoring goals. Yeah. Karanka holds the record in the club's history, 7.5 games without a goal. Everybody focuses on, oh, great defence, great. I'm an attack-minded thinker. Attack-wise, Pulis, Karanka, possibly this guy, I would rather retire than play under any of them. Because it didn't suit me. If I'm a defender, I would love them. I'd send them Christmas cards, birthday cards. But as a forward, no, none of them would suit my style. No chance. Is that quite clear then? Do you get that?
Yeah, I think we got that part right.
Right, that's all done, guys. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank God you're
Army, when are you?
Thank God you're
look, before we go, I know we have to go, but have you got is it that warmer there? You've got the old fan on. Wow. So where are you? Are you in your office or your house or what? Where are you?
No, it's my office actually, young man.
Oh, the office, yeah.
Yes,
office.
Yeah. And it's actually 92 degrees today. It's rather hot outside. I know. Everybody thinks it's great. It sucks ass because I'm telling you, it's just too warm.
All right, look.
Right, yeah, brilliant. Thanks very much. Hopefully we get to see you soon in person, and best wishes for Christmas and New Year, and stay happy and healthy.
Yeah, tell your
Same
mum,
with- same
dad,
with you,
your
Luke.
family,
Tell your
all the
mum.
best. Look, Hammy,
Yeah,
hopefully see you when you
tell
come
you-
over or whatever. If you're ever in the northeast, I know you go to Scotland. If you ever come to the northeast, come and see me. Hopefully
sure
the
will,
place
but,
next door's open. You'd like the food in there and the drink.
I sure will. And save me a book, by the way. Look, send your mum and dad our love, okay?
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, of course.
And thanks for
All right.
inviting
Cheers.
us. All right, Ben, take care.
Look, see you, Hammy.
Take care.
Later.
Bye.
Ta-da.
I'm sure you'll agree that Bernie and Hammy were brilliant guests having our first podcast, and brilliant tales and stories from over the years, especially from that brilliant team of 1986, the Boro boys that will never be forgotten. We'll have plenty more coming up over the next weeks and months, plenty more Parky's pals to meet and visit along the way. But if you enjoyed the podcast, we'd really appreciate it if you'd make a donation towards the Gary Parkinson Trust. You can do that just by visiting our website. It's www.garyparky.co.uk, and just head to the Donate Now page there where you can donate as much or as little as you want. Every penny is absolutely appreciated and will go towards the funds and rehabilitation of my dad's care. Thanks very much, and all the best.